Hey everybody, welcome to our Harbor Freight grease gun video. In today's video, we're going to review this Holt Industries automatic air grease gun from Harbor Freight. And I'm going to drop a clip in of some of the other grease guns that Harbor Freight has. And then we'll show you what we're talking about as far as why we recommend the Holt automatic air grease gun from Harbor Freight and not the other air grease gun from Harbor Freight. Okay, so here we are in the store. This is the Holt Industries grease gun for $69. This is the Central Pneumatic grease gun for $19. And here it is. The problem with that grease gun is when you pull the trigger, you get a small squirt of grease, and then you have to keep pulling the trigger to continue greasing the thing, versus the automatic one. Once you pull the trigger, that thing's going to pump grease until you let go of the trigger or it runs out of grease. I had to tighten my track on my bulldozer one time with the old style grease gun, and I thought my finger was going to fall off before I got done with that. So here's also the locking grease coupler, and there's just the old pump up style grease gun. So we'll try that out. That's a copy of the lock and lube, and I have that also on my DeWalt gun, so we'll try it out and see how they do. Hope you liked the video. Enjoy. So the other thing that we're doing is, in addition to reviewing this Harbor Freight grease gun, we're going to review the Holt Industries locking grease gun coupler. Now, I have my DeWalt grease gun here, battery powered, which works great, and it has the original lock and lube quick coupler on it. So we'll kind of compare the original lock and lube quick coupler to the Harbor Freight Holt Industries locking grease gun coupler, and just kind of see if this one for, I believe it was $19.99, is anywhere comparable to the one that was about 50 bucks. And I've had this one going on probably 4 years now, and it's never not worked. It works really well. So I do recommend that. If you don't want to watch the entire video, I can tell you that we do recommend this Holt Industries automatic air grease gun from Harbor Freight. So let's open it up and see what we got. Okay, so we've got a grease gun. There is no air fitting in it, so we'll have to put an air fitting in it. It does have a flex hose, which is nice. So we'll put the flex hose on it, and there is no, let's see, this probably is a coupler itself. Okay, and it has the old style, just friction fit coupler, but we're gonna go ahead and put on our locking coupler, see how that works. Okay, so we've got some air gun oil, got some Teflon tape, we have our air fitting, and I grabbed a screwdriver so I can get this off. These things can be a little bare. Okay, so that's in there. Now then, I'm going to take this fitting off. Maybe. Okay, so I'm going to take the fitting that it came with off, which requires an 11mm and a 14mm wrench. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that coupler that came with that. And get rid of the little rubber boot because the new coupler won't reach with that. And then I'm going to take this Lock and Lube grease, or Holt Industries locking grease coupler, which is a copy of the Lock and Lube coupler, and put it on this. Okay, and the way this works is it has, you can see that it's got spring-loaded jaws in there. As you pull that back by squeezing the thing, it opens those jaws up to let it slide over the grease coupler, the Zerk fitting, and then when you release it, it grabs on tight. So we'll put this back on. One thing about it, you can see there's a considerable amount more bulkiness with the Holt one than with the original Lock and Lube. But I figured I'd try it. Okay, that's tight enough. Now we'll screw the grease hose into the grease gun. And there is a small brass washer, might be copper, in the instructions that goes on that joint. So we'll take the small washer, put it on the hose, and then screw these together. Just hanging free space. Okay, so there's pretty much the assembly. Next thing we'll do is put the grease in this. Make sure you can still see. So we're just going to unscrew the barrel. Okay, so pull the plunger back and lock it. Okay, a little groove in the thing. Little groove in the notch. I'm going to use my red grease that I use for everything. If you haven't loaded a grease gun, take the cap off. Put the open cap in. Get your pull tab. And open it up. Okay, then screw the barrel back in while your plunger's still pulled out. Okay, then I'm going to leave that loose because I've had priming issues with these before. Tighten up just a little bit. Okay, we'll slide our grease gun down. Okay, so to try this machine out, we'll grease this thumb cylinder. And we'll see if the Harbor Freight Quick Connect lube locks on, and it does. So we'll pull the trigger and see what happens. See if we can get everything in the shot. So there's the grease gun, there's the coupler, and we should see grease come out beside that cylinder. Okay, so it's shooting grease out. Ah, and there it comes. Okay, so it just took a lot of grease, but there's grease starting to flow out right there beside that cylinder. So it's pumping grease in there. Okay, let's find another one. I say that like it's hard on this machine. There's about 1 million grease fittings here, and we're going to grease them all. Let's see, there was one right here. Get out to light. Okay, we'll see how this one does. Okay, seems to be locked on. Pull the trigger. Alrighty, well, that concludes our Harbor Freight Holt Industry automatic air grease gun video. And the one thing that I did find on this grease gun is if your handle won't go in, your plunger handle, right? It has a lock. Just turn it like a quarter turn and it'll slide right in. So, like I said, I never had one of those stuck like that before, but this is the first for everything. But that's, I guess all of them can do that. But anyway, so this handle was locked out. I couldn't get it to go in. Turned it a quarter turn and it slides right in. Kind of like the DeWalt does. Okay, so my thoughts on pneumatic grease guns. It's not nearly as convenient to run around with an air hose while you're trying to grease a machine as it is to run around with a battery powered grease gun. The difference is this grease gun is about 50 bucks. This grease gun is like 150 bucks. So you get what you pay for, but if you want a decent grease gun and you don't mind using an air hose to operate it, this Holt Industries automatic air grease gun does a really nice job. The Harbor Freight pneumatic grease gun, I would strongly recommend you don't get. It's like $20. And the problem with it is every time you pull the trigger on it, it shoots a small amount of grease, less than you get out of a pump of a pneumatic or a normal grease gun, manual grease gun. So you sit there and have to keep pulling that trigger, which gets pretty tiresome. I had to use one of those on my bulldozer to adjust the track tension one time, and I no longer have that grease gun because that was so annoying. This Holt grease gun, as long as you pull the trigger down, hold the trigger down, it's going to dispense grease, a lot like the DeWalt does. I was pretty impressed with the Holt locking grease coupler. So if you have another grease gun and you're wanting an automatic coupler, this is the original lock and lube. I believe it was the first like this. This is, the copy doesn't look much like it, but it functions, I think, equally as well. Now, I've only greased about 10 grease fittings with this one, so I don't know if it will continue to hold up or not, but it works exactly the same. When you squeeze the lever, it opens the little jaws in there, just like this one does. Locks it over the grease zerk, and then holds it on so you don't have to sit there and hold it while you grease the fitting. So, all in all, I'd say both the Holt Industries automatic air grease gun and their locking grease coupler, thumbs up, or however you want to rate them. For 50 bucks ish, I think this one I got it was on sale on the Inside Track Club, plus the President's Day sale was just going on. So $50 to $60. This one was right at $20, and I would say those are worth the money. So again, there are some issues. Like I said, if you're going to drag a air hose around while you're greasing everything, you know, that kind of gets to be a pain. It's way worse than an electric cord, although I've never seen a plug-in grease gun. But, you know, the way to go if you can afford it is definitely DeWalt. Milwaukee makes one. I'm sure there's others. But these battery grease guns are awfully nice. So, hope you liked the video. And if you did, think about subscribing. Definitely leave a like, thumbs up, and we love your comments. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great day, and be safe. Hank, let's go. Hi. Are you happy? Huh? Are you a happy dog? Hi, buddy.